Okay, I'm going to show you how to do a drop shadow kind of the old way. Now, I mean, it's better, just I like it better because it gives me a little bit more control doing it this way. But if you're following along or you're writing down steps, I'll just tell you the steps. You need to make a shadow for that duck. So I'm going to start off by making a copy of the duck layer. I'm going to drag the layer to this little button here. We now have two duck layers. One of them is going to become the shadow and the other one's going to remain the duck. And notice this one here, layer 1 copy, is the one that's going to become the shadow because it's underneath the duck up here. So I'm going to use my arrow keys on my keyboard just to kind of move that layer over to the right. That's where my shadow is going to be cast. And I need to fill that duck in black because I want the shadow to be dark. Now if I just go to Edit Fill and using black and I hit OK, it's going to fill the whole layer black. That's not what I want. But if you remember on a previous video, I clicked this button next to the word lock, which what that does, it locks all the transparent pixels on the layer, pixels that don't have any ink on them. It makes those inaccessible. So it locked all those. Now if I go to Edit Fill, only going to fill the duck because all the other pixels, all the clear pixels, and you can see the clear pixels out here with the checkerboard, they were all locked. It's a good thing to know. I'm going to go ahead and unlock them now because now what I want to do, I need to make this black look like a shadow. So I'm going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Makes it soft. Looks like a shadow now. That's what I want. It's a little dark, so I'm going to lower the opacity down to somewhere around 70%. I'm going to change it from normal to multiply because shadows that are on multiply look more realistic. They let some of the color from beneath the shadow show through those shadow pixels. And the last thing I'm going to do, just to make it look a little more realistic, let me zoom in on it and show you. If you leave shadows alone, or any type of gradient in Photoshop, if you leave those alone, the shadows are gradients. They go from dark to light. You can kind of see the banding in the shadow, the strips of grays that are present. So what a lot of professional retouchers like to do, they like to add a little bit of noise to the shadow. It puts a little bit of a speckled grain over the top of that shadow, and you can adjust the amount of it or how you want it to look. I'm going to do a Gaussian monochromatic noise. That is, it doesn't have any color in it. If I take monochromatic off, it'll allow a little bit of color to pop in there. And I could leave it on. That actually might look okay, but I'm going to make it monochromatic. I'm going to hit OK, zoom out, and what that does, that noise, it breaks up the banding, so the shadow will look a little bit nicer. So it's a lot of steps. We had to make a copy of the duck. We had to lock the layers, fill it in black, scoot it over, make it blur, unlock the layer, blur it, add a little bit of noise to it, put it on multiply, lower the opacity. A lot of steps, and a lot of steps a lot of people won't want to have to memorize and remember. Now, most people will just, they want a shadow, okay. Remember all the settings I just did? Well, they're all right here under layer style. Drop shadow, look, multiply, 75%. Here's the size and the softness of the shadow. And at the bottom even, here's the noise you can add. So it has everything. The one thing it doesn't have is I can't move the shadow around by itself out here. It's connected to the duck. Okay, so that's drop shadow old school.